What's up, honey love? What's up, girl? What's up, love, honey love? I see you. What you doing, Red Sonia? What's up, Sonia? Fat Mama Sonia. What's up, Fat Mama Sonia? What's up, Fat Mama Sonia? What's up, Mayday? Lord Mayday. What's up, boy? What's up, Lord Mayday? What's up, my boy Doc? What you say, Doc? What you say, Doc? What you say, Doc? It's my big boy, Doc. What you say?
All right. Welcome back to another week, another episode of Game Dog Talk. And we are in the building. We have, right now, we still waiting on Ram to come through, but right now, of course, we have the legendary schoolboy, Mr. Richard Garcia. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Just tired.
Yeah, me too.
Busy week, man. Busy week for me,
Yeah. We brothers in arms. When you tired, I'm tired, man.
Yeah.
I had to take a nap. Yeah,
yes,
welcome everybody in the chat, man. Glad you made it.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful Sunday.
Yes, indeed. Would have been better if the Bucks would have beat the Mavericks, but that's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right. Let me scroll up and see what we got in the building. Do a quick little roll call. Let's see here. Miami Snoopy 305. What's up, bro? Mr. Anderson, Jeff the producer, Welsh Kennels, Combine, salute. Outlaw Texas Kennels. Let's see here. Arrowhead Kennels, salute. Hugo, salute to you. AJ in the building. Old Smoke, Trey Walker, salute. Georgia Boy Game, salute. Soul Power, aka Gamed Up Kennels, salute to your family. Hardy Dogs, Pennsylvania in the building. Mark Wonderlynch, Cobra Head Kennels. King Cobra Kennels, salute to you, fam. Rhodes Kennels, salute to you. Valley Boy Kennels. Martinez Game Dogs. My brother Cano Loco Sports. What's up, man? Bob. Let's see here. Von C. Dirt Road Kennels. I know that name, Dirt Road Kennels. I know that name.
It's hard to old.
Yeah. Pit Cartel. My brother City Boy Kennels. Salute to City Boy.
City Boy.
Yeah, I got a good little female from City Boy.
Nice.
Yeah, she a good dog. She was acting a little she was acting a little weird with me at first. She was like, I don't know about this guy. Once I got her in the house, she seen my daughter, she was in heaven. You know what I mean?
There you go.
She started playing with my daughter. I'm like, what the fuck? You don't like me? Like, shit, I'll feed you and shit.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. As soon as she seen my daughter, she just went up to her and laying on her and, playing with her and stuff. Like it's like they know like a kid almost,
Yep. They kids and dogs are the best. Because kids just act like kids, We're all like, do you like me? You don't like me? What you about and all that. Kids don't do that. They just go up to them and start messing with them.
Right. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. What's that? Ott Kennels. Salute to your family. Hope I pronounced your name right, bro. Chad in the building. Vinny. Ty Green. Salute to Ty Green. Sister Quee. Thank you, sister, for stopping through. Appreciate you. Skills from New Orleans. Felix Nunez in the building. Lefty American Pitbull Terrier. What's that? Camos Moving. Salute. Outlaw Texas Kennels. D-Lo 87. SBO Kennels. Okay, that's transporter guy texting me. Then we got Luis Flores, salute. My brother Bank Statement Kennels in the building. What's up, man? King Strick, 614 Tree. I can't read everybody, but appreciate all y'all for being in here, man. Thank you, everybody that's in the building, man. Salute to all of y'all. You know what I mean? All right. Man, probably somewhere asleep, man.
Yeah.
Ram knocked out.
He didn't set his clock.
Yeah, well, we got a good show for you anyway. We got some good questions that y'all put in, you know what I mean, for last week. So we got some good questions here, and we let Mr. Garcia go ahead and give us his expertise on these questions here. First question we got is, how much of a disadvantage does a fanged dog have, and how do you defang a dog? You know, this is all for historical purposes.
Right.
Sir,
Back
Mr.
in the day, you know, when you're doing shows, what happens is the top hangers, and the top canines are called hangers. The bottom ones are called cutters. Some people call them all cutters, but that's the terms used to distinguish between the two, because they hang on with the top, and then the hinge, you know, the mouth. These are the ones normally that cut, you know. What happens is that top fang gets caught up in their lip. They bite through their own lip, or they bite into their lip, and it can hamper the dog because they can't bite down properly. Right? It's a total disadvantage, and you know, as far as the rules go, you know, you can bring it to the attention of the ref, or your second can too, or your second can tell you, hey, dog's fang. They'll ask you which side. Usually it's one side or the other. It's hardly ever both. And then you just tell the ref, he checks it, and if you can, you know, if he can unfang them while they're still doing their thing, that you know, that's allowed now. But the rules state you got to separate the dogs, break them off, separate them, face them away from each other 2 feet apart. The ref will go defang them or unfang them. Then you face them up again and release them at the same time. And most people use a defanger. It's a lot of people use like a goat horn, you know, because it has a point to it. In the old rules, it says you can use a pencil and stuff like that. Pencil ain't gonna work. I've never had one work. They break off if their fang hung up real good, because you know, what you got to do is you got to get your a defanger in the space in between the lip and their top of their jaw, and then you pull down, which will release it, and then pull away. I usually do it with my hands, and I've been criticized that because you can get bit, but if you do it right, you don't get bit. And regardless of whether I'm using a defanger or my finger, what I do is I hold the dog that's fanged. I hold my hand over their muzzle so I can control them.
Right.
Then I stick my finger in and just, you know, pull down like that and out, and then they're unfanged. And then you just go through that process, let them go again. Sometimes they're hung up real good, and you need a defanger. You know, it's best to use that. I wouldn't advise anybody using their fingers. I'm just lazy, and I learned how to do it. You know, I never been bit. You know, but there's a way to do it. You know, you just got to be quick, be careful with your fingers. But if you control that muzzle, you know, it's hard for the dog to bite you. And you also got to watch out for that. Depending on where they're in hold, you know, you got to watch out where the other one is. So it's best to use a defanger. And I've had it where guys, you know, a lot of people don't like to admit it, but they're afraid of dogs, and they're afraid of getting bit, even if it's their own dog. And I've had people hold their dogs, you know, while I'm going to defang them, and they get kind of scared. They let go, and the dogs will bite them. You know, that might like it would be my dog would bite him, or his dog would bite me, or sometimes your dog would turn around and bite you or something. You know, you got to control the dog, and it's best to do it by the side of their neck. You know, the skin on the side of their neck. You know,
right.
Even if you have an aggressive dog, you know, if you ain't choking them, if you're just holding them, it's best to do it that way, because that when you got them on the side like that, that controls their head. They can still move their head a little bit, but they can't really turn around and bite you. Even if they do, your hands they're so low and they're so out of position where the dog can't really get to you. You know,
right? No
so
doubt.
that's the thing with defanging the dog. It happens almost every show. You know,
what disadvantage? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that and it happens multiple times generally during every show. Sometimes it don't, but usually it does happen. The disadvantage is if you're fanged like that, you can't bite down. It stops the dog from actually getting a good hold. You know,
right?
And if you're not familiar with it, sometimes the dogs will be like that, for a few minutes, man. So that whole time he's at a disadvantage. He'll still mouth the dog, but he can't really use the pressure because his tooth is hung. It's hampering him from closing his mouth like he normally would,
Yes, sir. Salute to SFS in the building. I see you, brother. American Pitbull Terry Global. Salute to you.
Salute. SFS.
What's up, Ronald Haskins? Salute, man. Salute to everybody coming through here. R.A. Nixon, salute. Lefty American Pitbull Terry, salute. Bulldog Slim, Melvin Brown, salute. Much love to everybody in here. Hot dogs, what's happening? All right, let's get to this next question. What carries more weight, the dog's accomplishments or the impression the dog made? This is a question from the brother Live Life Real.
Yeah, good question. I was thinking about that. The way I read it, the impression is the career of the dog, right? And what was the other part of it? The first part?
Well, it's
accomplishments.
The accomplishments, right?
Yeah. So I look at it this way. One is it might be a good match dog, superior dog, and the other one would be what a dog produces, his accomplishments, or even his title or whatever. The only difference is sometimes a dog doesn't survive or isn't bred, and that would be the difference between the two. And I mean it in this way: most dogs that are famous were bred also, regardless of their title, or whether they won nothing or whether they're a grand champion or whatever. If you're not bred and you have that great title, it's an accomplishment. People remember it, but not like you do if a dog is bred. So most famous dogs were bred, so they also have that number of offspring or production rate behind them, along with whatever title they have. If you're a competitor, the career of the dog matters most. If you're a breeder, whatever it produces matters most. If you're both, that both matter equally. Because you want to continue on with that dog's blood. If he can produce. If not, then that's nobody's fault. And we've talked about that. There's some great dogs that produce very little or nothing at all.
Right.
But one would be the career of the dog, which is important. The other one is the production rate of the dog, which is also important. But like I said, most dogs are remembered not just for their career, but because they produced dogs too.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Let's see what we got here. Starting a program with this guy, he said he started the program with one male stud dog, 3 females, and wants to know if he should breed the male to only one jip before he breeds him to all 3 females, or use him on all 3 females. He's saying like should he just try that male to see how he's producing before he breeds him to all 3? Right.
If you're starting out and you want to wait that long, I would breed them to one female. But there again, you're gonna have to wait 2 or 3 years till they're grown up to see if they worked out or not. As I continue with my program, for me the best scenario, especially if the females, well, it don't matter. If the females were litter mates, it would be great. If they were bred 3 different ways, it'd be great, or 2 are the same and 1 is different, whatever. I would breed the male to all 3. If you have the room and the time and you really like that male, you want to build a foundation off that male, or you want his influence in your dogs, the only way to find out if he's worth it is to breed him. So if you're going to breed him to the 3 females anyways, why just breed to 1 and then wait till later, For me, I would breed him to all 3, and he's either going to produce from all 3, 1 or 2 of the 3, or he's not going to produce at all.
Right.
And you know, it gets in people's head, you know, well, what if it doesn't work, this and that, and what if, you know, one's better than the other, or I like this one and I should have just stuck with that female and not the other two, or whatever. You know, I understand all that, but you know, there's no other way to find out. If you like them females and you're going to breed him to them anyways, I'd do it back to back, you know, each one, whenever they come in heat, whenever you feel that those females are deserving of being bred, then just breed them to all three. You're going to have a shitload of pups, but if you're going to do it anyways, do it now, and then you'll be able to see, you know, what he produced from all three basically at the same time, within, you know, maybe a year of each other, if they don't come into heat at the same time. You know. But if you don't know the dog is a producer and you want to breed him to one of them, the favorite of the three, you can do that. But then, like I said, you're gonna, you know, it'd be 2 or 3 years of misbreedings if he does produce, for you to wait to breed the other two.
Right.
So me, especially with, like, if I had litter mate sisters, you know, and I had a couple of males I was going to breed them to, I'd breed both or 3 sisters to the same male, see which one throws the best at the same time whenever they come in heat, and then from another litter I'd breed the same male to all 3 of those too. That's if you're keying on that male, you know.
Right.
If he's going to be the one, or you want to find out if he's the one that's your male that you're going to produce, you know. For me, I would do it as early as possible. That way I have more years of breeding him, you know, to keep that stuff going.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If the females, let's say they're bred 3 different ways, you know, you make the 3 breedings, let's say the breedings work, hypothetically, you know, you're going to breed half brother, half sister. That's how you keep you're going to breed all them pups together, the best ones of each one, males and females. You're going to stick them together, and they're, at the very least, going to be half brother, half sister, you know.
Right. Absolutely. What's up, Brown Sugar Tay? I see you in the building.
Tay, how you doing?
What's up, Dre's finest? Dr. Mark, salute. Nicholas Bronson, salute to you in the building. Yeah, that's a good point. You know, yeah, get it out the way early so you'll know. I mean, rather than, yeah, like you said, if you're gonna breed them anyway, you might as well get it out the way early and get more body of evidence on the dog versus waiting 3 years for that one litter and see if anything was popping, and then you're gonna end up breeding them to something else anyway. And it's just, you know, now you done wasted 9 fucking years with this dog. You know?
Yeah, there you go. That's the thing with dogs. In our head, we're thinking, oh, you know, 3 breedings or 2 breedings, what this and that. We don't think of the time.
Right.
So breeding those three females, you know, from the time you make the breedings, if the pups work out, by the time them pups are done doing what they're doing, could be 5 years.
Right.
Could be 6 years ahead you're looking at. And if you're going to do it anyways, you know, do it as early as you can. That way you find out. If it don't work, you know, that happens. And that's one thing, you know, that gets to people, because I wasted all this time. I should have bred them this way. No, you're trying to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And if it works, you're golden. If it don't, you would have done it anyways.
Right.
Regardless of with those 3 females or something else. And if he don't produce, you're going to find out quicker, at least. Because most people, if you make a breed and it doesn't work, you're going to try it again. You know, I'll try them with this female. Maybe that one will work, right? And maybe this one. And then it might take you 2 or 3 breedings to find out whether he produces anyways. So that's going to take even longer to do that. I would do it now, you know.
Right.
If you have the room, if you got the time and the patience, the money to raise them and all that, you know, or you got friends you can give them to, or whatever you're going to do with them, you know. You have to accept that there's going to be losses, and sometimes the losses are greater than the successes. But hypothetically, again, if you make those 3 breedings and only one female, you know, only one of the breedings works, at least you have that to go with, rather than taking a chance that was the one female that was going to produce. The other ones, you know, you're going to discard or cull, whatever you're going to do with them. You know, and that's the process, but it'll get you to that point a lot quicker.
Yes, sir. Make sure y'all smash that like button while you're in the building, man. Get the likes all the way up. Get the likes to match the view count. Let's do that. And we got salute to you, Kwee. Appreciate the support. Salute to the sister Kwee. Thank you. And that super chat showing love.
Oh, cool. Kwee. Thank you.
And we got the next question is this is old reliable. This question always comes up, always. How do you find the dog's condition weight?
Right. Depending on how heavy the dog is, you know, and that'll take time for you to judge, you know, whether you can tell if a dog's obese, so that's going to take a lot longer. But if you got your dogs fit and healthy, you exercise them regularly, they got some weight on them. The way I used to do it was I would keep that same feed and exercise them for anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks. And what will happen is their weight will start to come down incrementally, slowly, little by little. And then at some point during that time, it's going to level off and stay the same for about 3 days. You're real close to your pit weight there. You could be right at it. You could be 1 pound over, 2 pounds over. Depends on the dog, the size of all that. But that'll give you an idea of what his pit weight will be because they'll naturally come down to their pit weight. If you exercise a dog, if you put them through a keep, they're going to hit their natural weight just automatically, you know, just naturally. It's going to happen. It's up to you to decide if that's a good weight or not. And even in this pre-keep, say call it a pre-keep, when you're conditioning them, when you're exercising them, you know, they're going to be strong. Anytime during that point where that weight drops down and it keeps dropping down, if you continue on and it doesn't level off because maybe you're increasing the work or the dog is working harder, if it doesn't level off and keeps dropping down, he's going to get to a point where he's weak. When you take him out, you can feel it when you take him out and walk him. That's when you know you've gone too far. He's too light. Right. So the pit weight is generally understood to be this. They're at their lowest weight, but still strong. But that's how I did it. It's pretty accurate. You know, a lot of people did it that way. Some people do it different. Some people just cut back on their feed and let them naturally do their thing, and then they'll lose that weight. They'll lose weight that way also, and then you can, you know, you kind of eyeball them.
Right.
There could be a science to it. There's some people, maybe they have a scientific method, say how to do it, you know, body fat percentage and, you know, muscle, whatever and all that. But most guys, just eyeball it, and they're pretty accurate. Mm-hmm. You can, even me back in the day, you know, you can look at a dog, whether it's thin, got some weight on them, or fat. You could look at a dog and say, that's a 34-pound dog. That's a 50-pound dog. That's a 48-pound dog. And you'll be pretty accurate. And it's just a matter of doing it over and over again, seeing dogs, weighing them, picking them up, lifting them up, you know, holding them. What way? You know, it's like, I don't want to sound bad, but it's like, you know, people selling weed. They could tell, oh, yeah, that's an out. You could tell, oh, it's a little light, you know. Right. You just get that, you know, and that's in grams. But you just get that feel for it, and it's the same with the dogs. But if you do that process, like I said, put them like through a pre-keep kind of, they'll lose that weight, it'll level off, and you're pretty close right there.
Yes, indeed. Salute to the sister Kwee. Her question, she says, would y'all recommend a Can Corso as a good house dog? I have all my nieces and nephews over from time to time, ages 7 through 17. You know, house dog. It just Can Corsos, you know, they get big. You know, they get big. So they can be house dogs, but I think you gotta be firm with them. Because they can get so big, you gotta be firm with those dogs and kind of let them know their place and shit. You know what I mean? And you want to make sure they socialize with the family and stuff like that. I would get one as a puppy. I recommend that. What would you say, Mr. Garcia?
Yeah, I'm not. I know what the breed is. I'm not familiar with them in that way. I never had it, but the best thing with any dog, whether it's a cane, Corso, or Chihuahua, is to do that. Make them, if you're going to have it, even if you have it for protection or whatever, trained or whatever, you know, obedience and all that, get them familiar with the family, their surroundings. Those type of dogs, they understand this is their property, this is their family, they're protective of them, you know. But for me, and this is just me, right? I've never had a dog that I can't physically control, because if an accident happens, I got to be able to do something about it. And if I can't, and maybe some people can physically control a large dog, you know, I ain't that big, so, and I've never tried it. But when we had German Shepherds, we had cow dogs, we had mutts, you know, and even with the pit bulls, if I couldn't physically control them, and I had 54, 55-pound man biters, you know, 50-pound man biters, if I couldn't physically control them, I wouldn't keep them. And even dogs that size, I could do it, you know.
Right.
In my younger days, I couldn't do it now. I just knock them over the head with a bat, you know. But I'm just bullshitting. But that's just the way we did things. That's the way I did it, you know.
Right. All right, and salute to Champ in the super chat. Much love and much appreciation, fam. Thank you for the support. Question for you, Mr. Garcia. He says, this is about historically speaking. He says, Richard, if you were reffing a contest that was scratch to win, and after several scratches, one contestant stops, but the handler who is up to scratch thinks he won and steps over the box, what do you do?
If you're going strictly by the rules, you know, people get excited. If you go strictly by rules, and in this scenario, one dog quit, the other one committed a foul, it's a draw. That would be the scenario. I doubt if most refs, you know, they might tell them, get back in your corner or this or that, you know. But if you following the rules, they have to stay behind that scratch line. Because not only is it a foul to come out of your come across the line before you're supposed to, your dog still has to scratch to win. And so that would be considered a draw, because one dog failed to scratch, the other handler committed a foul by leaving his corner before he was supposed to. That's you know, if more people would stick to the rules word for word, set in stone, you would have less, you know, discrepancies, less arguing, you know.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like, you know, some people give warnings, you know, if they're minor, which I understand. It's kind of like a low blow, and in boxing, you know, they'll give you a warning first. But the dog rules ain't set up that way. That's just people's interpretation of how they want to do it when they give people warning. You know, some things happen like by accident. Let's say, you know, again, historically speaking, you're in there and you're not supposed to touch the dogs unless the referee tells you to after a turn's been made or out of hold count, right? The dog will bump into you, or the guy gets too close and his tail touches him, this or that, you know. Technically, that's a foul. You're not supposed to touch him. Your dog, his dog, no dog. But you kind of let go, because that happens. Dogs are quick. Sometimes you're slow to move, or they just, you know, they just move in that direction, you know. They'll corner you too, and you got to step out, step over them, jump over them, whatever. But, you know, when you handle, that's part of it, being smooth, be able to move smooth and know which way the dogs are going, and how the show is going, and where to place yourself. You know, you really don't have to get that close to them until they settle down. And that's a mistake that people make. They're hollering at them, yelling at them, this or that. They you know, from the beginning, it confuses the dog. It doesn't do anything for them. And you might be sending them in when you shouldn't, and they're going to burn themselves out because they're listening to you, hollering, screaming, jumping around and stuff.
Right.
There's a time and place for all that, you know. But in this scenario, that would be a draw. If I read it correctly, yeah.
Indeed. Shazam 98 in the super chat. Much love and much appreciation, man. Thank you for the support.
Shazam. Thank you.
Right. Let me see here.
Is it Shazam or Chisholm? Is it Chisholm?
I Yeah, I think I was
Find
gonna
that.
say Chisholm, but I
Yeah.
figured maybe it's Shazam. I don't know. I always get these names
Nah,
wrong.
you're probably right. You're probably right. Yeah.
It might be.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What are the benefits of inbreeding, and are there any benefits to inbreeding a scatterbred dog?
Yeah. The inbreeding increases or concentrates the traits, right? So if you're going to inbreed, I would only do it with healthy, you know, viral individuals that have very few faults, if any. That's the best way to do it. And I prefer inbreeding, even though I didn't do it. The dogs that I got inbred, but they were bred while they were young. It's better to inbreed young dogs rather than old dogs because they generally don't have any health issues. You know, and so that's what it does. It concentrates the traits. But if there's faults in there, and a dog might have a fault that you don't really see, right? But when you inbreed them, that fault will come out. It's in its past. It's something underlying, that's in the dog that's not readily noticeable. You know, uh, it's in the ancestry of the dog, the parents, grandparents, or even like that. When you inbreed, it comes out.
Right.
So if you do inbreed, just make sure, and I mean young. I don't mean like 6 months old. I'm talking maybe 2 or 3 years old.
Right. Right.
Inbreed when they're young, and then have as less faults as possible. And if you know the dogs and you know the family, you know what traits you're trying to capture. If you make the inbreed and you capture those traits, they're generally, those types of dogs are very good producers, right? They're better producers generally than an outcross dog or a loose line bred dog. The tighter line bred dogs and the inbred dogs are generally better producers. You know, and I would say if you do that with scatterbred dogs, you could get the same effect. Where scatterbred dog, you have all these different traits, so it's hard to concentrate on whichever traits you're trying to focus on because they're all scatterbred. This is the way I put it, the only thing in common, again, speaking of the past, of dogs that are scatterbred is they fight. They have all those instincts of fighting. That's what's common about them, and that's why some people, when you look at their pet, you go, oh well, it's all scatterbred. Why did it work? Because they all have that common denominator. They have gameness, they have ability, they have mouth, they have this and that, all the fighting traits that you're looking for in a dog. So they share that regardless of how they're bred or what their pedigree is. So what if you make a inbreeding from scatterbred dogs, it's going to focus on something, not just those instincts that I just talked about, but it's going to pull from some of the blood that's in there. One side, the other side, this line, that line, whatever. And the only way to find out where it's pulling from is to see those dogs after they matured. Let's say you have a bolio dog and you have all these different things, and two of the bloodlines in there are bolio and bulisson. You might have Mayday and you might have boomerang, this and that. You make that scatter breeding. If the dogs come out where they're well balanced, good air, fight smart, fight the head, wrestle well and all that, it's coming from they're kind of thin bone is coming from the bolio stuff. That's what came out. If they're more thicker bone and rough and maybe a little short or squatty, and powerful and strong, hard mouth, you could say that's coming from the bulisson side. And the thing is, when you do make those kinds of breedings, you're probably going to get a variety of traits within the litter. And that's kind of the reason I don't like it. It doesn't really concentrate on traits, even though maybe the inbreeding would concentrate certain traits, and maybe some people like that. You get a variety of builds and colors and styles and all that within the same litter, But as you move forward, it's hard because, we tend to generally produce, and breed the types of dogs we want. Well, if you have mishmash of everything, you're never going to have anything set. You know, they're always going to be different, and you're always going to be pulling here and there, and that's the doctor. I'm not saying it doesn't work, and people have done it, but I haven't really seen over extended period of time where you keep scatter breeding, you got a whole bunch of good dogs. It doesn't happen that way. Nature doesn't allow that to happen.
Right, right. So would you say that that's like that would be, you know, some people say, you know, I breed the best to the best. I don't care about blood. I breed just the best to the best, you know, but in doing so, you can get a lot of scatterbred dogs, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know, again, that best to best, you know, it depends on how you look at it. I bred best to best, and I did line breeding. And all that meant was I took the best individuals of my family of dogs and bred those.
Right.
And not just, okay, this is the way I'm going to do it. That's what they showed me to breed, which, like I was explaining last week, you know, the high percentage of litters tended to produce better than the lower percentage one, even though one individual that I got out of one breeding was better than the dogs in the other litter that I got a higher number of good dogs in it. You might have one, but when you have 1 out of 10, that's not good numbers. Even though, yeah, that one might produce, but in future breedings, it's going to drop. Whereas if you have a higher percentage of litters of dogs in a litter, they have a tendency to throw that average where you're going to have more as you keep continuing with you know, and breeding, you know, best to best where they have all these different bloodlines together. You know, the only thing I would say maybe be a plus is that when you do that, there's going to be commonality in those dogs because there's only so many bloodlines. You know, if you breed, let's say you breed Snooty and Boomerang and Bolio together, well, they have a lot of common ancestors, which is one of the reasons they work together, right? And so it's not really scatter breeding, you know. Whereas if you breed also like you breed the Posse blood and you breed REDBOY and you breed Buster blood, you know, it's all common in there.
Right.
They're all, you know, because of what the Posse did, you know, he used that blood, even though he really didn't use the REDBOY blood. You know, the opposite dogs, they were Colby Lightner, a lot of them originally. So if you go by REDBOY's pedigree, that's Colby blood. It's kind of, you know, there's commonality there. So even though sometimes blood, you know, pedigrees, they look scatterbred, you know, it's because people don't know the history of the breed. They don't know where the dogs are coming. And if they go back far enough, you'll see, well, shit, this one's related. They're related. They're brothers. They're sisters. They put this together in the past already. It's already crossed up that way. I'm just repeating it now.
Right.
You know. But again, it depends on the traits is what matters more. You know, even like when you're outcrossing. For me, when I outcrossed, I didn't wait till I needed an outcross. If I saw something that I liked that was different blood than mine, I'm going to add it. I didn't wait. I like that dog. You know, or whatever. I saw him perform. I like him. I want to breed to him. And the second thing is rather than, you know, this dog's lacking, or this is a different style, so I'm gonna add it to mine. And you have 2 different styles you're putting together, hopefully get the best of both styles. I generally use dogs that have the same style or the same traits. You know, if they were fast and strong, hard mouth, whatever. I preferred that way, even in an outcross, rather than using something totally different. You know?
Right.
But you can do that too. You know, you can use 2 different styles or some that have different traits. Maybe you're lacking here or there. You know, I did that with the Eli dogs. Even though I had Eli in my blood, you know, I wanted mouse, so I added Rascal, Bully, something like that. But they also share common traits where they're rough and strong and fast. You know?
Yes, sir. Salute to Larry B. Austin Jr. in the super chat. Appreciate the support, family. Thank you. Larry B. Austin Jr. back in that super chat. Appreciate the support. He says salute to the chat. He says, Mr. Garcia, what do you know about the Norad dogs? Have you ever seen them back in the day?
Yeah, most of them are. I've seen some of them. You know, I'm not that familiar with them, but if you want to say Norad or Wilder or OFRN, you know, they were real popular back in the day. And I'll say two things. Most of them because they had been watered down, or they weren't. You know, they were mostly show dogs. You know, I wasn't impressed with them. But you know that Norad's mod, the one that's on the cover of the Stratton book, that
Right.
red female, red-nosed female. I seen a daughter of hers, and she was probably one of the gamest dogs I ever seen, man.
Yeah.
Just off the chain, just unbelievably game. And that's what that blood was known for, you know, back in the day when Hemphill had them, and those people were using them. And some of them could really bite. This one, she wasn't really hard mouth, but some of them dogs could bite, you know. You check out Hemphill's Amber and some of them other dogs he used, they had good mouth. But I don't know what happened to him in later years. I don't know what he did with them, who had them, this and that. But a lot of the dogs, you know, especially they were real popular on the West Coast, you know, show dogs, this and that. And it's a you know, kind of a, how would you say, you know, it's old blood, so people want it, you know.
Right.
And they're unique looking and they want it. So I seen a lot of there you go. So a lot of the dogs I seen, they had OFRN in them, or they had Wilder or Hemphill, even Norad blood in them, you know. A lot of these match dogs that were show dogs too, you know. And you have it here and there, you know. TL's China was a 2-time winner. His champion Willie had that blood in him, you know. Nick the Greek's champion, I forgot what her name. She was Wise as Maximilian, you know. So you see it here and there, some of it a little more of it, some of it less of it, but it was always somebody doing it. You know, Mary Schaefer had a lot of that stuff, and she was a big show dog person, but she was a bulldog woman too. She matched dogs and handled dogs herself, you know? And she had several of them that had some of that stuff in it. It was just all scattered. Like I said, I don't know what happened to it later, towards the end of his life and all that. I don't know what people do with them, but you know, people are they're faithful to the blood, and it's such an old blood for most of us that people want to keep it going. You know, if it works for you, great. You know, keep it.
Indeed. Zachariah 23 in the super chat. Appreciate the support, fam. He says, what are the 2 biggest mistakes you have seen a handler make during the match, historically speaking, obviously?
Wow. Well, one of them was just what we're talking about. A little dog named Elrod. He was a good dog. He was a white dog. I think he was sired by Garner, Randy's Garner. And he was going against, I forget who it was, but it was a little Bolio dog. And they were going at it, and Elrod was just handing it to him, man. He was just beating him, beating him every move, just too fast, too strong, much talent, ability. And a guy was handling and had conditioned him. He was in there with him, and Elrod's owner was outside, and he goes, "Hey, hey, Tom, check your dog for fangs." So he did. He lifted one side of his lips up, lifted the other side up. Foul right there. It was about 20 minutes. The other dog's handler called the foul. The referee had to accept it, and Elrod lost, but he would have won. Unless he had a heart attack during that show, he would have won easy.
Right.
You know, that, and I guess something else. Generally, it's fouls. You know, blatant fouls that sometimes the guy either doesn't know the rule. He'll handle his dog when he's not supposed to before a turn is called, out of hole count is called, and they just lose it. They ain't thinking. and they'll come out of hole. The guy will pick the dog up, and the guy will go foul. That's what happened with Grand Champion Art. His loss, you know, it wasn't exactly that way, but Bobby Hall was losing to Art. King Glover was handling Art. He walked over to King Glover and told him, "Hey, I'm picking up this 28 minutes." Art was smashing Bobby Hall's dog,
Right.
And he just told King Glover, "Hey, I'm picking up." He said, "Okay." So he went and handled his dog. Well, he didn't tell the ref, and Glover picked up Art. Bobby Hall called foul, and the ref had to give it to him. Just a mishandle, but that's generally you'll see is someone mishandling their dog, you know, committing a foul, or, you know, other than a rub, you know. I can't say that I've seen a rub. I can't say that I've ever been rubbed. I don't, you know, my wins and losses were all legit. You know, my losses, I don't think I was ever rubbed. I've heard of people doing that. I've heard different ways they do it, and it has happened. There's no doubt. It's just I was never involved with something like that.
Right.
On the losing end. Those are the worst, some of the worst things, you know, committing fouls and cheating by rubbing, you know.
Indeed.
There's all kinds of stuff people do. Yeah.
Salute Ruben Langford. I see you in the building. And another question we got here is, do you have any, Mr. Garcia, any experience with the Travis line of REDBOY JOCKO dogs?
The Tant, I think it's Tant's Travis. No, I think he's double bred or father daughter or something off of Yellow maybe, but I'm not familiar. You know, that stuff didn't really make it out here in my day. You know, I refereed some of the Mayday stuff, you know, and from what I get and the little bit of experience that I have with it, you know, those dogs are rugged and durable. You know, they're kind of slow, depending on how they're bred, you know, because you outcross them, now you got more athleticism.
Right.
If they're kind of straight bred or heavily bred on that stuff, they're just basically durable dogs, hard to hurt, rugged, you know. But no, I haven't had experience with that particular dog.
Okay. What about any tips on weight pulling conditioning program?
Yeah, the only way I was involved with it is I've judged some of them, you know. But in my mind, you know, and this is the advice I'd give people is if you're going to weight pull, you're going to treadmill race or wall climb, any of that stuff. But with weight pull especially, you know, I would condition my dog the same way that you're going to do it in the competition, which means doing sets with the dog. You know, you want to start off to make sure that and this is something people don't do, just like with conditioning dogs in the past. They never taught it to do shit until it's a grown dog. So you should teach the dog, if you're going to get into weight pulling, teach them from when they're pups, because you don't have to have any weight on a little cart, or even if you want to use a little red wagon, you know, you get them in that mode of when you hook them up, they pull it. And you can even have you know, an empty cart, and you just have a connection on the back of it and put a heat on it, and you can control how hard the dog is pulling without any weight. You know, you're holding back, you're letting it go. So I would teach them that first, how to weight pull, go in a straight line, go in the distance, and then I would condition the dog that same method. You know, you're going to pull several times during the day, so do your conditioning in that manner. You know, do a set of where you're pulling, come back, let them cool down, and come back, rather than just continually pull for 2 or 3 or 4 miles. You know, I would do maybe quarter mile or half a, you know, at the most quarter mile, because they're only going to pull, you know, 30 feet or whatever it is. I forget. Right. That's what I would do. I would get it in that dog's head, the repetition of getting up there, putting the harness on, pull hard, stop, bring them back, let them cool down a little bit, or even put them up for a few minutes, bring them out, and repeat it over and over again. And it gets in that dog's head. That's the way this thing goes. I come out, I pull, I get put up, I come out, I pull, you can do it 100 times a day if you want. The dog can't count. You know,
Right.
they don't know if you're doing it 5 times or 500. You know, they just know that I'm gonna do this again and again and again, and it gets their body used to that program. Come out, pull, kick back a little bit. Come out, pull, kick back a little bit. This helps it in the competition itself. That's the way it's gonna be run. That's how you're gonna do it, and get the dog used to that. You know, you can start off with small weights. I would never. It's kind of like, you know, and I'm not a big, you know, powerlifting person, but I don't think they regularly lift as much weight as they can possibly lift. They might do it in their training once or twice or whatever, but
Right.
most of them, you know, just like dogs, you don't do 100% in training, you know, but you want to start off with a little bit of weight, then add more, whether it's, you know, a couple of 100 pounds. You know. I wouldn't practice them pulling 5,000 pounds or kill them if you do it repeatedly over and over. It's kind of like a, you know, even a real show, you know, you want them peaked on that day, and you want them to give you everything they got on that day, 100%. And they don't know their limits. You don't either. But that's where you want to see where their limit is, whether it's 2,000 pounds, 4,000, whatever it is. You want to see it on that day.
Right. Salute to John Batts in the super chat. Appreciate the support, family. He says, do y'all know, let me say, old family red nose that's not too pretty and kept right? Well, he's asking basically any working American old family red nose dogs.
I don't. I hear about them, you know, people that got them. But again, you know, I'm friendly with everybody, but I don't know everybody. I don't know what they, you know, and I wouldn't expect them to tell me, you know, even in Messenger, sometimes people ask me questions that they shouldn't be asking. I just tell them, sorry, I can't answer it. It's too incriminating.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure there's people that have it, you know, it's just that I don't know them. So it'll be a matter of you know, doing research, finding them, you know, the process with dogs always has taken time, unless you're born into it or you got a friend or something, uncle or some, or like one guy like TJ, you know, he lived down the street from Barney Fife. And Barney Fife was one of the tops, and he was a kid. He just kept going over there, and just because he was his neighbor, he got into it that way, you know. That don't happen ever, you know.
Right, right.
But most of the time, you know, it takes time, and it takes time to learn and time to contact real people. You know, I had a bunch of dogs before I got real ones, you know, and we used to do our thing with them. And then when you see the difference in quality from good ones compared to just whatever, then you start to realize, oh, there's a lot better, you know. What helped me is boxing too. You know, you can see some cub fighters, they're good fighters, they put on a good show, but then you see some championship level or contender level fights, and they do the same thing, they're just better at it, you know, more skilled. So it's the same thing with the dogs, you know. So yeah, there could be some. You just have to find out, research, and making contacts, you know, and hopefully you get a hold of somebody that has it and you like it, you know.
Indeed, yes, indeed. Yeah, they out there. Y'all gotta remember, you know, we don't. This is a historical show, so we don't know what's going on out here nowadays and who got what. And if we knew, we wouldn't tell you. It's not that kind of, you know. It's not that kind of show, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm so, you know, all my stuff is historical, and a lot of it we'll probably get into that. You know, a lot of it transcends time. It don't matter if it's 100 years ago or 100 years from now. It's valid, right? But as far as getting out there and like I used to and all that, I just don't know. You know, people send me pedigrees all the time, and I can't give, other than going back 4, 5, 10 generations. I can speak about some of those dogs if I was familiar with them, but I really don't know what anybody's doing with any of their dogs. And like you said, if I did, you know, it's for their protection and mine too, I wouldn't say nothing. You know, that's not how it's done.
Absolutely. Loose lips sink ships, ladies and gentlemen.
Man.
Start talking too much, thinking you're being clever, and You done got somebody indicted talking shit on the internet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. From personal experience, you don't want them busting in your house, pointing guns at your wife and your kids, man. If you're married or yourself, either. That's what happens.
Right.
They don't fuck around. They don't care if you're 5 years old, man. They're gonna put a gun to your kid.
Yep. They sure definitely don't. And they're gonna kill your dogs too.
They're gonna kill them, all of them. Even if you don't get nothing happens to you, even if you get off, you beat the case and all that, your dogs are dead. They're gone.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. And everybody gonna be calling you a snitch and shit. You know, he snitched. He had to snitch, man.
Yeah.
They said they got the information about me from him and all that shit. That's why I don't know shit. People asking me, people I don't know sending me questions about, hey, where can I get this? Who got this? Who got this working? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man. Shit.
If everything could be used against you, best not to say nothing unless, you know, like I said, me, I'll talk about the past all day long. It's 30 years ago. But, you know, we had kind of a post about that, you know, about people in the groups and this and that, and there's ASPCA and there's cops and this and that. Well, that's why my rules are set up the way they are. They're everywhere. If you think your shit is private or secret, or even your, you know, these encrypted shit, you know,
right.
It takes a prosecutor about 10 minutes to walk down the hall to get a warrant from a judge. You know, it's real simple. It's not that hard. And if they can watch, you know, somebody can watch you while you got your phone, you know, camera on, or all this stuff they talk about it. I don't doubt it. You know, they ain't nothing secret. So the way to protect yourself is don't give yourself away. Don't say shit you shouldn't say. And you know, I've had them come to my house. There's nothing here, and I hadn't had dogs in 25 years. But
right.
Somebody called and said, you know, me and this kid were breeding dogs for fighting and this and that, so they sent them over. I didn't have a problem with them coming over because I didn't have nothing. They went through. Okay, see you later. Bye. You don't give them nothing, they can't get nothing. Basically, you know.
Right.
There's exceptions to it, but just, you know, keep your circle tight, keep your people tight. Don't talk, don't say stupid shit, you know.
Indeed. Anthony Bolton, salute to you, brother. This is great dog talk as always. Salute and much respect. Salute to you, family. We got Bulldog Slim in the super chat. Appreciate the support, man. Says, what would you say is the best way of finding out how a dog is bred if you don't have the paperwork? Shit, talk to the breeder.
Well, yeah, that's there's two ways. You talk to the breeder. If he knows how his dogs are bred, he should be able to tell you. You know, there's very, very few that don't, even though they don't register their dog, they still keep a record of their dog's pedigree. You know, they still know how their dogs are bred. Other than that, you would have to be familiar with the structure and the, you know, the traits and the temperament and the you know, things like that to say, okay, at least that dog has some bully son in it. It has some Mayday in it. Has some buck in him. Something like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The looks have something to do with it. You know, the way they're built, the way they act, you know, has something to do with it. But there's no way to tell. It's like me, you know, I have a registry. Some people, they want to register their dog. I say, fine, I'll email you or mail you some registration forms, this and that. You know, 4th generation pedigree is $5, and they go, well, I don't have a pedigree on my dog. Well, I can't register. You can't just register it like that. No, there's no family history. I can't.
Right.
I can't. You know, there's no way to keep a record of it. You know. So that's about the only case where you wouldn't be able to register a dog. You know, if you just buy a dog from someone, they don't know how it's bred, you don't know how it's bred, and you like the dog, that's okay. You know, he's a dog, he's a pet, or whatever you want to do with him, hunting or whatever. But if it matters to you, the pedigree, you're going to have to go to someone that keeps records of how their dogs are bred.
Absolutely. Let's see. And we have you ever used red cell during conditioning?
Not during conditioning. I did a little bit. I didn't like it for the dogs because, you know, and I'm not saying people don't use it, but whatever, if you're going to use it, I would say whatever the dosage is tells you to do, I'd give them half of that. I wouldn't give them the straight dosage because it's basically iron and B12 and E-comp, some other stuff. You know, it's used to raise the blood count, you know, of the dog, but it can make them run hot because it gives them a lot of energy and they burn themselves out. They use it more in game fowl and horse racing because those events don't take that long. It's not an hour show. It's not a 2-hour run. It's not nothing like that. With birds, generally, it's a 20-minute time limit in certain ones. You know, there's some that they can go on for a long time, like a naked heel or gaffs or something like that. But in short knife or Mexican knives, there's generally a 20-minute time limit, and they're usually over a long time before that. In thoroughbred horse racing, 1.5 miles is a long race. You know, most of them are a mile, 1.25 miles, maybe 1.75 miles. I forget what the Belmont and Preakness is. But at the Triple Crown, you know, it starts off at a certain distance, then it increases every race. And the last race of the Triple Crown Derby is the longest distance. But still, it's not that long. It ain't no 2 miles. Where like in steeplechase racing, it's a 3-mile race, you know. Those horses have to be durable. They have to have good air. They have to be tough to jump and go water and all that stuff they do. But it's used for generally for short competitions, you know. Like if you were a sprinter, it might help you. Like I said, some people use it, you know. If you got a strong, powerful dog and he ain't gonna go but 30 minutes anyways, it might help you. It's gonna give him a lot of energy, have a high blood count. They run hot because one of the reasons if the blood count's too high, it makes them run hot. It's that simple. So if you give them, it's like one time a guy sent me his feed for a keep. He said, "What do you think about it?" Well, he was feeding them beef, liver, red cell, B12, iron, you know, greens, you know, and greens have iron in them. You know, I tell them it's too much. Cut about half of that out because you're giving them the same stuff just in different food. It's way too much. He goes, "Yeah, I noticed when I work my dog out, he gets tired right away. He's not tired, he just runs hot. He's not overworked or nothing like that. He can't breathe because his blood count too high."
Right.
You know, like anything else, test it and see. Just give them a little bit of it. If you're giving them liver, you know, you really don't need red cell. It's the same stuff almost.
Indeed. What's up, Hemi James? I see you in the building. Mr. Garcia, what back in your day, what would you say what team had the most success?
In my area, I would say probably Tito and the local boys, OTK, maybe TDK, you know, Bear Brothers, you know. At one time, Bear Brothers had 5 champions on their yard at the same time.
Right.
In Baja, SM Tijuana, you know, BMW, like that. You can look up their peds if you want. Probably if you just put BMW pedigree or something. You know, it's a little gator stuff, a lot of the little gator, Black Angel, stuff like that. Across the nation, there was a bunch of them, man. Yankee Boys, you know, Havana Boys, STP. So many, I can't even think now. And a lot of times they're just friends that, you know, STP was good because those guys were old dogmen before they formed the STP team.
Right.
They had dogs probably late 50s all through the 60s. And it was either late 70s or early 80s where they formed STP. It means Solo, Mr. T, and the Polacks. That's what STP stands. And I think most of the Havana boys, they were all related, but they were good. Havana boys were tops. They have a great record. But in my area, those ones I mentioned.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Salute Hemi James in the super chat. Appreciate the support, fam. Appreciate that. Frank Rizzo, salute. All right.
Salute.
What makes a proven cross, and what are your thoughts on and your opinions on proven crosses?
Yeah, what makes a proven cross, and generally when people say outcross in their head, they think 50-50. And that's probably the most popular way to do it. Take two unrelated dogs from two unrelated families, unrelated bloodlines together, make your outcross. What that does, it produces athletes if it works. It should produce superior athletes. Okay? You can have it, 35-65, even 75-25, percent like that. But that's what outcrossing is supposed to produce, superior athletes. In my opinion, if it don't, then, which is different from a lot of people's, if it doesn't produce superior athletes, meaning better than the individuals you cross, it didn't work. My standards, anyways, people differ on that. Some of the, the oldest one, or one of the oldest ones, would be either Tudor COLBY. It was called the old rugged cross. As you move up later into my time, you have the Eli Carver, the staple. They're still doing that today, I would guess. Kobe Leitner, Tudor Heinzel COLBY, like that. It's kind of the same cross being made over and over again. Then you have the the Jeep REDBOY, Jeep RASCAL. You have the Bully Son BOLIO, Bully Son Long's Baby, and Long's Tuffy. You have Mayday. What he comes from is cross, his three-way cross or whatever it is. You have the REDBOY JOCKO, real popular. What was the rest of the question?
Oh no, that was it basically. What
okay.
What are some crosses? You named them though.
Yeah, like that. Now, I'm hearing like in Central and South America, the Invicto Big John cross works real well down there. In Mexico, you had the Booker Eli, Red Lady Stu Fowler, like that, from Morphine. And then you also had, they call them Mexican Eli and all that. Right. Most of them, not most of them, not all of them, but most of them have, it's Eli blood, and then they have different crosses. It could be Bolio, it could be the Long's Baby, Long's Tuffy stuff. It could be the Booger stuff. Booger was he was a grandson of the Spike Black Widow,
Right.
Same stuff like they call it Tombstone Red Baby stuff, Champion Tonka, this and that. Mm-hmm. And the best ones are, if you go back in their peds far enough, is basically a Tudor, DIBO, and Colby cross. That's about Apache earlier,
Right.
You have like the Leitner. Well, both Heinzel and Tudor used Leitner in their dogs. The Henry dogs, the English dogs, and the Irish dogs cross. That tends to generally be the best cross because that's what originally made the pit bull in the first place. Dominantly Irish dogs and English dogs being put together. So as you go out through history, people were doing the same thing, whether they realized it or not. When they got the best results, that was the they would make. And even Eli Carver, Carver use a lot of Ed Crenshaw dogs, but that's the Colby Lightner stuff. Right to the Bully Son and Eli Jr. stuff. There you have
The DIBO cross, yep.
DIBO Colby. Yeah, same thing.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Let me see here. What tools should a dogman have on them at all times?
All times, not to get anybody in trouble, but you should always have breaking sticks, 2 of them. Mm-hmm. Have a medical kit, dewormer, stuff to suture kit, or if you can find them, they use the staple gun, and someone else might look at that stuff like, that's illegal shit. It's not. And like I mentioned before, I grew up country. You take care of your animals, whether a horse or a cow runs into a barbed wire fence and cuts himself, or whether they have some kind of infection, or whether they need deworming. And you're going to have yard accidents, whether it's some cur dog get in your yard, or your dog get loose, or whatever it is. You might have clothes hanging on the wire outside, like back in the day, and your dog get loose and he's chomping on your clothes. The easiest way to get them off is with a breaking stick,
Right.
You just break them off. So you should have at least a rudimentary medical kit, some betadine and, Benadryl if you need it, or just basic stuff, if you're into conditioning, depending on where you live, you could have anything from a bicycle to a cat mill to different mills, e-mills, carpet mill, this and that, a spring pole. You could have a pole, a swimming tank, just all kinds of stuff, as far as conditioning or exercising your dog. A lot of people don't have a lot of space. That's why all that stuff was invented. And a lot of it wasn't used by dog fighters even way back 100 years ago. They were just used to exercise their dogs, to have them do something during the day, 3 or 4 or 5 days a week, just to burn off that energy. If something to do, keep them from getting bored and tearing up your house or tearing up the yard. If you regularly exercise them, they're less prone to even dig holes and mess up your grass and stuff like that.
Right.
So even though I did what I did back in the day, all that stuff is not just for that purpose. It wasn't just for that purpose. You should deworm your own dog because it's expensive to take them in to the vet every time you want to deworm, even one dog. If you do it every 3 months or twice a year, whatever you do it, rather than costing you $100, a $10 bottle of deworm yourself.
Absolutely. What's up, Oak Park Boxing? I see you in the building, fam.
Boxing, huh? Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Then we got question. Does the this is a question of schoolboy. Ram knocked out sleep somewhere, I bet you.
Yeah.
Ram said he's gonna take a nap and we ain't heard from him.
Yeah.
Let me see. Any tips for a dog with chicken allergies?
Yeah, it's funny now because I hear a lot of people having.
Get Ram.
There he is.
You missed the whole show. You sleep.
Yeah, look at him.
Ram.
He's sleepwalking. He turned it on just with his mental clock. He's not even awake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm hearing a lot of the dogs have chicken allergies. That the chicken allergy comes from what I understand. It comes from the dog not being able to break down the proteins of chicken, right? Mm-hmm. And what your body does, it starts attacking itself. It could cause skin problems, vomiting, coughing, all kinds of stuff. If it's not too bad, you could just use Benadryl. If it is bad, you might have to take them in, and then the vet will prescribe whatever it is for the allergies. You can, and in that respect with chicken, it's the protein that causes the problem. So you could conceivably give them the chicken fat, just not the chicken protein. That's right. where those food allergy comes from. As far as the protein is concerned, your body's not breaking it down, so it reacts a different way, and that causes the allergy. But I don't know why there's a problem with chicken now. You know, it was virtually unheard of. Allergies as a whole wasn't really heard of in dogs. You know, I always, and I may be wrong, but I always related it to the health of the dog. You know, if you have good, healthy individuals over generations and generations, you're going to have less health problems, including allergies. So some things, even allergies, you know, you can't do nothing about it. They just get it. You know, it's whatever it is. The dog born that way. But a lot of the stuff that happens with dogs, even structural stuff, and problems and stuff, is due to their health.
Right. Salute to you, Mr. Thomas Morris, in the super chat. Appreciate the support. He says, I know so little about these dogs. Thank you, Schoolboy in 78. Thank you, brother. Salute.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening in. I would encourage anybody to go back and watch all the, how many is it, 70?
Yeah, this is the 73rd one.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's 72 behind there. Go watch them. There's other people besides myself, you know, that have a lot of knowledge too, and they're on those old shows. So just, hell, I even go back and watch them sometimes, you know, just to hear them. There's a lot of good stuff. It's a good place to learn.
Yes, sir. Larry B. Austin Jr. back in the super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, any tip for dog snorting like he's clearing his sinuses?
Again, unless he has some sort of allergy or a virus or something like that, you know, if he does it all the time, it could be, you know, some medical problem that he has, you know, like a lot of dogs that they have this cough, you know, they'll just do that over and over. And a lot of times they diagnose it as kennel cough. You know, it's a virus that the dogs get, you know, and if left untreated, it just gets worse and worse. You know, I would feed them as well as a balanced diet. You know, don't have them too heavy. You know, have them at a good, healthy weight. That's one thing I see a lot too, is people keeping their dog. You know, they keep them, and maybe they have to nowadays because, you know, you're putting videos up, or you got nosy neighbors. They see what they consider a skinny dog. You know, they call somebody.
Right.
You know, but it's just like anything else. You know, you need a certain amount of fat, but you shouldn't be obese. And dogs shouldn't be obese because it'll cut down on their lifespan. You know, so that's the first thing I would see. Maybe if he's too heavy, you know, I would keep him hydrated as much as I could, and finally it could just be that's what he has. If he's snorting because he has a breathing problem, you'd have to have a vet check that out. You know, they can run tests. Their airway could be that little flap of skin we were talking about earlier that could help them. That could hurt them in their breathing process. You know,
right?
They might have you know, something. Maybe their nose, the airway isn't clear or something like that, or it could just be that's dog is. He's a snorting fool. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I had one that used to do that. I used to think something was wrong with him until I realized it wasn't nothing wrong with the dog. There's something wrong with me. You know,
Yeah.
Dogs got sensitive noses, man, and you can't be smoking all in the dog face and shit. You know
yeah. Or even spraying aerosol cans or something.
Yeah.
You know? Even though the dog might like your weed, he might, you know, it might not be the best thing for him. Cigarettes. You know, I smoke a lot. Everybody sees me, but I don't smoke around the kids. You know, you can't drive and smoke. We don't smoke inside the house, you know. So you got to just take precautions, you know. And that's a good point. The dog's nose, I don't know, 600 times more sensitive than ours or whatever it is. So stuff we can't smell, they smell it very easily, you know. So it could be something like that. That's a good point.
Yes, sir. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Garcia. You know, this was a good show. You
Yeah.
end up doing the solo, but you knocked them all out, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
nice.
really enjoy it, and I appreciate everybody tuning in.
What's up,
Uh,
Luis Flores? Salute, man.
yeah.
Appreciate everybody joining us, man. Ronald Haskins. Any last words for the people, Mr. Garcia?
Yeah. Again, thanks everybody for joining in. Thanks for your support. This is the best show, in my opinion, on the net. That's why I'm here. Not that that means anything, but that's just the way I am. And just keep tuning in. Go back, look at them old videos. There's a lot of good information. Some stuff we cover more than once, which is okay because not everybody hears everything. And if you want to register your dogs or you want to buy my keep or anything else, I have different paraphernalia and memorabilia. Just hit me up on Messenger or Facebook or get my email or whatever. But I appreciate all the support. Thank you.
Yep, the link to Schoolboy's Facebook Messenger is in the description box in the chat. So make sure y'all go over there and register your dogs with Schoolboy's International Coalition Dog Registry. All right, and we'll see y'all this Friday. It will be Friday this week. Got sidetracked the last couple of weeks, but this Friday we'll be back. And I'll put up a post for y'all to leave your questions. Salute to the everybody in the chat, and much love to you, Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, brother. Take care. Peace.
Peace.